Hey guys, my name is Mike, and today we're going to be coloring this Boba Fett pinup with watercolor brushes, or watercolor style brushes, however you want to look at it. I'm working in Manga Studio / Clip Studio Paint, and I've made this complete set of brushes, which has everything you can possibly imagine to create a beautiful watercolor and a natural media looking product. I don't know how natural this is going to look because this image has all this hatching and who knows what it'll look like. It'd probably be cool though. So if you were here just for the Star Wars, I hope you learned something. If not, just comment below if you have a question about something I've done. I am going to be spending more time explaining these brushes because they are for sale on my Gumroad page, and I wanted a video to show the brushes in action. I'm not totally familiar with all of them. In fact, a couple of them are brand new that I just finished today. I wanted to round out the set and get to that number of 50 and really make sure you get your $5 worth. The textures, a lot of the textures are like things from my own work where I just found interesting areas and cropped them out and made brush heads and whatnot. I've even got some acrylic ink brushes in here because I've been messing with physical acrylic inks, like little jars of this speedball ink I got for $2 that is crazy intense. You can dilute it with so much water and so much white or black ink and it's still completely saturated. So I tried to recreate that and recreate brushes that I like to put watercolor on Bristol board, and it does this really interesting thing when you put it on smooth Bristol rather than like vellum watercolor media. It kind of beads up and it gets thick and it's hard to scan, but so we've got brushes for everything, and then of course like your natural brushes. I'm not going to go through like every brush one by one, but I want to show you the handful that I'm going to be using a lot of. The first one is called Beautiful Brush. I don't know what else to call it because it's just a nice looking watercolor brush. Now the way watercolor, if you see here in this window where you have the little eye inside, if you go to window subtool detail, wherever you click on this little eye is what will be over here for like manual changing. And so I've tried to set those things to just the things that I would change. And one thing that's important is your blend mode. Multiply works a lot, it feels with some brushes a lot like working with natural watercolor, because as your work you have light and then you get darker and more saturated, darker and more saturated, darker and more saturated, all the way to black. And that's what feels most natural for people that have used a brush and used watercolor. But you could just set this to normal and just have this one thing where this color is going to be, fairly in the ballpark of where you start. And you're going to be able to overlay it really well. If you have it set to multiply, your blend mode, and the same applies to Photoshop, and you try and put light over dark, you can see that I'm putting down color in these areas, but it won't work because the light pixels are transparent. The lighter the pixel, the higher the transparency in multiply mode. So only the dark pixels will build and the pixels will multiply. But okay, a little lesson on how this stuff works. The second brush is the square acrylic inker. It's a lot like a square paintbrush, but it's just, this one is a scan of a chunk of work that I did that I'm using as the brush head and for the texture, and you get these lines through it. It's interesting. And then the other brush is this one right here, which is just natural texture. It's just some watercolor paper and the regular old watercolor engine inside Manga Studio, which is really cool. And some Manga Studio's stock watercolor brushes are really cool. I think these are those watercolor. I like the smooth watercolor blender. See, this has blend on it. That's just a round head. A transparent one. texture brush. These are good brushes too, and see this has blend on it. Blend this together. I do have, oh, last brush. That's super important. Where is it? Watercolor with blur. This brush right here is super useful for backgrounds, clouds. We just take these three little things, we can make like a dark storm cloud, like a kind of a photorealistic one, pretty easily without too much work here. And although you can do this easily just with a regular old paintbrush, what's cool about this is that I don't have to touch anything. Like I can do all of this with just the this one brush. So maybe we'll build a background like this, but see, now we've got kind of a little storm system right there. But yeah, and see, this is just and when you push on it, it's just a nice big flat blob, and then it's got blur on it. This is a useful brush, and I may incorporate it just like into my regular paint set. I tend not to use, when I'm digital painting, I use like 4 brushes, and I think that having a brush like this could be helpful. And then I've got more traditional blenders that I'll use here. These are the small ones where you can really get finely detailed to get some good mix. And then I've got like the kind that, you know, do really flatten stuff out if we want. So we'll come back to this. Let's get started on Boba here. Let's see, where's his color? Yeah. First thing we got to do is establish a light source. See where his head is, kind of where that big circular thing is right here. So we know the sun's going to be over to the left somewhere, unless this was like a super dark scene. I think I'm gonna keep this kind of like a stormy sky, but I want the sun to be out and up and to the left, out of view. I don't want to put it behind the ship and create anything too dramatic. Although if we're coloring digitally, we could do a bunch of those effects, but since it's watercolor, I like to keep that a little bit more subtle and pretty, I guess. I don't know if that's the word I want to use, but yeah. So the hatching that's here is going to take care of a lot of what we need to do, but whoa. Just going to block in some shadows here. And remember, a brush like this, as we the more you lay down, the more saturated and the darker it gets. And we'll go in here and fix all this detail. Well, watercolors, we're going to have a lot of layers. So if you go too much with the shadow or it's sloppy or whatever, we're going to be able to clean it all up. And we want to kind of give this whole thing texture and life, so don't this isn't watercolor isn't really a style. Like you're kind of defeating the purpose, even though I did include a watercolor G pen, so you can do all that detailing, but we're just going to be blending a bunch of stuff down and giving it texture. And as you blend, we're going to murder a lot of this. Super saturation. So this is going to be when you blend, it's going to be the exact opposite of what you were doing when you were building. So it's kind of a process, and it's going to be a learning process for you and for me, because I'm not completely familiar with all of these brushes. And in this way, this is very, traditional watercolor is very, very exacting, and digital is not. To get a nice, textured, convincing result. Remember, every time you pick your pen up, that's when you're going to build the darkness. I don't want this to be too dramatic, but with the blending brushes, we can create kind of gradient-like effects. Almost like an airbrush, but it's not going to look as stiff. Hopefully. That looks like it could be airbrushed, but there's a bunch of texture in there. Some pixels in there that I missed when I was flatting. Kind of like those textures. Makes his suit look dirty. Blend this when since I blended it so far down, it looks okay. Let's get a real. Alright, this is an aquash brush, which means it's like, I don't know if you've ever used one of those Pentel aquash pens. I don't put watercolor in it. I usually use them for ink wash, but let's find the right texture for this. No. Loaded brush is kind of interesting. So the way that I did this is that when you push real hard, you just get like it like sprays out. But when you're soft, it's like a brush head, like having it loaded up with color. Probably want to work a little bit smaller than I am. I'm not really zoomed in, and this brush head is enormous because I'm not really concerned about accuracy. All right. I want to bring down. I want this to be normal. I'll bring down the border. Poor Chewie. I picked this image because it didn't have a lot of detail. And then I get in here and start looking, and there's a ton. Like, oh, this will be a half hour. The best laid plans, right? Mm-hmm. Oops. All right. Now we'll go in there with an airbrush with a really low opacity and brighten and darken areas where necessary. Let's do Chewie's head here. I'm a little confused. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay. Call this Fett and just merge everything down onto him. I'll call this Chewie. Alright, now we need a big swishy brush. Let's try a loaded brush. Excuse me. Nope. I know that this would work. This is the Watercolor G pen. Although it's not true to color, it behaves kind of strange, so we can use this for detailing if we need to. It's just a felt brush. I think I'm just going to try this one. So I really like this brush. Alright, let's see what color. He looks too saturated to me. Let's bring it back and lighten him up a little bit. Oops. Alright. Need to pull up a picture of Chewie. I don't know what color he is. I mean, I know he's some kind of brown, but I think he's kind of a reddish brown. You know what? I'm just gonna make him red. I don't care. So Brush is a little big. What's that take forever? Who knew Chewy was so complicated? Let's Since watercolor brushes don't build the way you're used to, remember that you can just shove a layer on top. In this case, multiple layers on top. If things get to a color that you're not comfortable with, rather than trying to back it up, just try and layer in the colors. Actually, I don't even know that we need these inks. We could probably make something probably just paint something pretty convincing with just his outline. Alright. Nope, that's not the color. That's not the color. It's closer. A little bit more red, maybe? Yeah. I'm just going to use this to kind of break up these super dark parts. This is all probably going to be whatever color flame this is. And I couldn't tell you what color that's going to be yet. Is he really saturated in parts? I don't know. Oh, that looks kind of cool though. Since the sun's coming from the left, all these highlights are going to be pretty much on this side. Might see just a little bit over here, and We went a little too dark on this side of the face. It's okay. We can fix that. It's kind of weird gray that's in there. I'm not super cool with. No. Yeah, see the red tone in there kind of washes his head out. I like that. Why is it? Oh. Clip that to the layer below. It's like, uh-oh, that's not good. Mm. See if those colors are light enough. Do we need like some little pops? Little yellow pops maybe? Hmm. Let's see here. So it's going to be fairly transparent because it's on multiply. I feel like that's too much. Whoops. Not crazy about that yellow either. This. Nope. Slightly better. Chewing needs that little bit of saturation in there. It's not a ton, but something. Let's check. I'm pretty desaturated. Super, super dark. Can't even really see the inks. These values are like anywhere close to up. And that's a hit. Just going to use one of these watercolor texture brushes to just Color in the line out a little bit. I mean, this thing is going to look like this, so we'll probably add some detail over top of the whole thing. Alright, what's next? Maybe the green? I started this super late last night. I just picked it back up, and I think we were on the green? I don't remember. I'm going to pull up a picture of Boba Fett. I don't know what color green his stuff is. Maybe find one from the movie. It's kind of a gray-green, I think. Yeah, it looks like there's some brown rust stuff. Green, and it's a bit metal, so it'll reflect kind of white. Let's try this. When you see me add layers to the top here, it's because we're using watercolor, and since most of the brushes multiply, I just want nice light colors to come through. I guess I made this part, his cod piece here, a different color. I don't know. Just gonna blend some of this green in and get a little bit of a gradient. That light color was really a lot lighter than I thought it would be. You know what I didn't do when I was... Oops. Once we get this all merged down into one layer with him, we'll go in there with like a detailing brush and kind of get these little edges and pieces. I did a little bit of detailing in here, but when you're looking at this, even if it were printed at 11 by 17, something you got to be careful about is how much and where to add detail. Like if you look here, this looks like a fairly natural fold, and if you zoom it doesn't look right at all. And that's important. It's important that it look right how it's going to be viewed, and not it look right super zoomed in. Like this looks like kind of a mess when you zoom in, but when you zoom out it looks right. But if we were to go in there and do all those little folds, each individual one, how we might if it was a panel that was maybe this big, that's zoomed in on a certain area, it just wouldn't, all that detail would be lost, and in fact what it can do is muddy stuff up. So you got to be kind of careful. It's where if you're a colorist of some kind, you should try painting, either regular painting or, because painting is really the illusion of detail. Very few I mean, there's certainly photorealistic painters, but look at a lot of paintings and see how much is really detailed. Usually it's just a focal point that will have a good amount of detail, and then it will sort of be blurred out, or you'll create some kind of vignette to create interest. Or if it's really detailed, it might draw your eye all the way around it, and not that there's one singular way to paint, but in a lot of areas of a painting, the things are sort of blurred out and they're just not built up. And I think that it can benefit your comic book coloring skills if you learn some basics of painting. At least it helped me. All this texture kind of gets, I don't see a ton of it when you zoom out. What were we working on? Oh, the green. The green. Let's try there. See if we can't grab this actual thing. Oh. We may go in with like a little round brush and add some flat areas of color. We can these hatch things if this isn't what we quite want. All right, what do we want to do next? Do these orange bits. I don't think that got his knee pads. I don't think that they're the same color. For orange to look orange, it has to be really saturated. And this sort of has a metal texture to it. We need to go back to his pants. They don't seem to have enough contrast for me. Now that I'm looking at it. Went to this green color. It's just got this sort of greenish gray, and we're gonna get, a little bit of that light is probably gonna bounce onto his pants. I don't think we're gonna take it all the way to blue, but and then maybe we'll go all the way up into yellow, put a layer on top of this, and just kind of get some highlights. Just real soft. Just to get that textured watercolor thing. And real bright right there. A little bit more yellow. And since this is so transparent, we're kind of leaving what's underneath intact. See, now it's starting to look a little bit more like the sunlight is hitting him, and there's greens and blues and some middle colors in there, and it's starting to look interesting. We're going to go all the way into blue. Now, even though this is super desaturated, you can still see color in there, because every time I swipe over it, it gets, so notice we're like nearly at gray. See if we can just get a little bit of green in here. So the color scheme that we're doing here, even though it wasn't really on purpose, is we're staying relatively warm, but all the colors are right here. So there's lots of, just in terms of color theory, we're working with adjacent colors. Kind of a lot of hue shifts rather than these triangular, complementary or split complementary or whatever kind of coloring you want to look at it as. If you think about it, like a lot of Marvel's characters, especially the chicks, think about how many of them work that same way. You know, this is like a reverse Psylocke. Psylocke is dark blue, deep blue, purple, red, maybe a touch of orange. This is where Psylocke lives, so we're just doing the exact opposite. Boba Fett is the exact opposite of Psylocke. We're going to need to go in here with an airbrush. I need to calibrate my Cintiq. It's, for some reason, it just decided it wanted to be way, way brighter. Like a week ago, I turned it on and it was super bright, and I was messing with the settings, but I wasn't using a calibrator last night, so God knows if these colors are what I think they are. Still working kind of green. Oh, I don't have that. I thought I had that merged down. I like to merge each character into its own layer, and then if you also notice, I don't think I've used the lasso tool once, and that's not so much a function of using watercolor. Like, I just don't use the lasso tool almost ever. It's just not the way I do it. I don't use the two staples of comic book coloring, which are the lasso tool and the airbrush, and I don't use either one of them very often. I mean, there's always a certain amount of air. I mean, either you use airbrush or you use gradients. Instead, I tend to use blending tools to create gradients. So like the smudge tool in Photoshop. I actually think that the Photoshop smudge engine is maybe better than Manga Studio's. All the other brush engines, I think, are parts of the brush engine I think are better in Manga Studio, but not the You see how nice that looks? You're just bringing in a little bit of this green. It's just I mean, it's just a round-headed brush. You really can. Anything you can do with all these brushes are nice, and especially the super messy texture or wet brushes. That would be a pain in the butt to create. But everything we're doing could be recreated with a round brush by just changing the opacity. It would take forever to paint all this in, so the brushes certainly make it faster. But that's a good exercise. If you just take something, a very textured work, and try and recreate that look with a round brush. And you may have to set the like painting skin, you may have to set the opacity at like 20% to get all those changes and that meandering texture that's there. But learning how to do that will actually make you, in my opinion, you'll be able to use textured brushes even better by learning with a round brush. But that's just like my opinion, man. Alright. Now he's starting to look a little bit better here. I have the unfortunate habit of never really finishing a section. I just do it a little bit, and then I move on, and then I go back to it when I decide that I don't, except for these. These look fine. That's always nice when something turns out the way you want it to right off the bat. Let's do we'll do some color holds at the end too. Some coloring the line art to give it a little bit of sheen. What? I don't even know what color his thing is. I'm going to make it red. Super washed out. I like this. I don't know if this is right or not. Put a layer on top. This is just a quick mask. So when I clip a layer above it, it locks the transparent pixels to the layer below. So any transparent pixels below will stay above, and see, we're just locked to this layer. It's just a quick mask tool in Photoshop does the exact same thing. It's not quite as quick, but let's do another layer to get the white right here. You go in there, like, for example, if we were, depending on the style, like say we were going to do some type of, this wasn't a watercolor style, we could get the blend tool, you get the fingertip blender, and, whoops, and that usually does a good job of creating like some like little metal highlights. We'd want to color the line art here. When I'm working with physical media, I use my fingertip all the time, but it's not quite, wouldn't say I have stubby fingers, but I don't think I could do something like this. Create these kind of metal, warpy brown indentations. Kind of that burnt effect. Burnished, maybe would be a better word. Oh, shush. I was threatened to do cardio in the morning, and I find today the best way to get your butt out of bed and go running down the street is for your dog to jump your fence. And our fence is 6 feet tall, and he's like a foot tall. He's a stout little 80-pound stupid pit bull. I don't know what he saw in the woods, but let him out at 8 a.m., walk out on the deck, I just hear rustling in the woods. I had to ride around on my bike for an hour to find him. I was thankful to get the morning exercise before eating, but he came right to me. You can't. I know enough about dogs that when your dog comes to you when you call him, even if he had run away, you probably shouldn't beat him, even though I wanted to. I wouldn't beat my dog, though. Alright. I have no idea what color his cloak is. It's going to be red. We're just using this multiply. Here. Just so you can see this brush that we've been using for a whole bunch of stuff. It's just this felt. It's got some randomization and some texture in it, and a bunch of missing. Oh, those pixels I missed. Someone wasn't paying attention. Alright, we're going to back this up. I'm going to do a quick and dirty fix for this. I'm going to unlock the transparency since there's a lot of black here. And I'm going to try and just paint on this manually. Some of these brushes bleed over the edge. Makes it kind of hard. Now let's try and lock pixels and see. I want to say that his cape is kind of felty. And if that's the case, and we'll fix that at the end. OBKB. Do his visor here. Which be yellow and blue? I don't know. Why didn't that? Oh. Multiply. Highlight. Just want that tinge of yellow in there to give a sense that it's a yellow sun or an orange sun. All right. Whoa. Whoa. That got out of hand quickly. Just using saturation for the highlight here. Trying to pretend that it's some kind of different material rather than using the light colors so that these kind of stand out. That's the idea. Move it little towards orange. Not in love with it. Don't hate it. Maybe we'll come back to it. I think that his hair is supposed to be blonde, isn't it? I know that in the movie it wasn't. But, oh yeah, multiply. What if we just fill this layer that color? Alright, I can see you don't want to cooperate. Let's try this again. Grab that, and then we'll fill that. No, you don't want to do that. We'll grab that, and then we will hit it with a flat brush. Nope. So what's going on here? What could have possibly also been that color? You know what? I bet it was the stack up there. Not that. This. I bet this is that color. No. What could have been this color? Well, in any event, this should... Here. Let's do it like this. Alright. Alright, we're problem solving. So, layer 9. That's Fett. Go down. This is Chewy. Those are all Chewy. I don't know what this is. Oh, that's Chewy too. All right, we're going to make a folder here. Chewy. No. Just get him out of the way, right? Okay, so it's not this. That's the green stuff. I'm looking for whatever is covering this. This should really be clipped to there. I can't believe it's not that. It kind of looks the same color, doesn't it? Was it the cape? I don't know. Let's combine these layers and then put it up here. There it is. It's the cape. So, show you how to fix this. Just gonna grab the lasso, select this, push the wheat. Problem solved. Right? Right. Oh, this is the mask and such. Go ahead and combine those layers. Probably name these, but since I'm not doing anything with this image, I'm not going to bother doing that. You should do it, though. That was weird. Okay. So, now we have his hair. Is his hair really gold? Boba Fett hair. Images. What the... Well, now this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Let's go ahead and show you that. I mean, look, I'm all for being a fanatic, but this is too far. You can't walk around like this as a human being. There's more than one person that has done this. Alright, so here are different locks. That's the kid from the TV show. Where does he ever take his helmet off in the movie? He's only in the movie for like 6 minutes. Why are we even so excited about him? Here's Boba Fett as a chick. What color's this guy's hair? If anyone would know, it would be this guy, right? Oh, is that not his hair? Is that like hair of other people that he is? I don't know a lot about. You would think. People that don't know nerds think that I know a lot about Star Wars, but I just don't. Is it other people's hair? Why don't you have hair? Oh, okay, you have this. But how is that your... How is this his hair? It's not connected to anything. It's just like it's like a tassel that goes over his thing. But why? That's a weird design choice. Oh, is that Boba Fett in the movie? That guy rules. It looks like he's in a fireproof suit. They ever set Boba Fett on fire? I don't think so. Okay. I got confirmation. There are many action figures where it's blonde. Golden blonde. Right. Let's not stand on ceremony. That was not what I wanted. Ooh, Japanese lightning. I like this brush. What is... Oh. There you go. Let's zoom in a little bit. Is it this too? Yeah. That and that. And then we'll just super saturate the bottom. White. Gucci? Gucci. It's a sunny day. But if that's the case, wouldn't... Render it right the first time. You don't have to go back, bro. I'm an idiot. You guys should know that by now. Yeah. So what are we moving on to? I can't believe I've been working on this thing for an hour and a half. I thought this would take like 30 minutes. I'm just noodling around. Yeah, it'll be a good brush demo. Maybe I'll speed it up and just kill all this audio. That's a real possibility. Flats. Where are the flats? Flats. Right. I like the very red. That's probably the dumbest sentence anyone's ever said. I like the red. What does that even mean? See, if we wanted to be fancy, he's tilted upwards, okay? So you're not going to see a cast shadow or vertical lines, cast shadows. So it's plausible that it will get, all the light will get underneath here. But wherever you think these things are folded up, which would be like right here, there could theoretically be a small shadow like here. In theory. And you could be getting bounce light from there, depending on what that's made out of, that is creating sort of the illusion of a shadow, even though the sun is directly hitting it. Alright, that's your physics lesson for the day. Not that even, now, it's a pointless exercise. It's intellectual masturbation. Like, you can think about that, but you don't see any of those lines I just made. So what's the point? And no one is looking at Boba Fett's crotchal region. They're going to be focused on the sunspot's going to draw here, then you're going to look over to the ship, and then you're going to see the big gleaming gun. And then you're going to go, oh no, Chewie! Wait, why doesn't Chewie have any color? Who did this? Why are you like this? Okay. Easy fix. Poor Chewie. I got your Chewie right here. I don't know how to do his feet. Like, isn't that a weird way to do shoes? I say that, but I did a Black Bolt. Now that I think about it, I did a Black Bolt and Medusa, like a feministy commission, where she's got him, and it was digital. They asked it for it to be kind of cartoony, and I did it as an 11 by 17 print. And I used like the G pen setting here. It was like these wicked sharp lines. I could probably just open it up and show you, but this would be, what would that do? And so all the lines were like, very, very thick to thin. I'd never really done anything, like Skull Kickers, super cartoony like that. And his shoes were almost identical to this. But he's Black Bolt and he's awesome. And Boba Fett is just a stupid bounty hunter. That whole bounty hunter thing is so over, it's just such a lazy storytelling excuse. Why are they out fighting stuff? Because they're a bounty hunter, bro. It's just silly. Plus, Lobo. Lobo's the man. Let's see. I guess that knee, this thing's in kind of an awkward. I don't even know what to do with this. These were not the inks that I thought they were. But this is not a good, it's not a terrible, the background's going to be good for watercolor. I think maybe that's what drew me to it. I'm like, oh, I can create puffy clouds and it'll be so pretty. Shouldn't that be like that? Or like that, I suppose? Yeah, yeah. Just want to delete all this hatching. This would look so much better without any of this. I can't tell if I, like, do I mean that? Or is it just because that's not my style? These need to be orange like the other thing, I think. Like the, aren't they I think this is supposed to be the same material as his, I could be wrong. Right, put another layer on top, and maybe over there, a little bit there. Not there. There. And maybe a lot more saturated, just to... It concerns me that I'm not... Just can't see what's happening. It's not high enough resolution. Why would you post these inks online? People can't see it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, what the hell color is his shoe supposed to be? Can you just make that like a gray? What was that? Was that? No? You? Yeah. Yeah. All right. Blood pouches? See, how did I miss? Like, is that what's going? You know what? I don't care. Let's just copy these out. And his pouches, they seemed all gnarly and leathery. So let's go with like dark brown. Super dark brown. It's already pretty dark. Yeah. Maybe... So the bottom edge, that is catching light. Looks a little neat and clean for me. Like this. And maybe the top edge too. Yeah. Don't like that. How's that look? Except, who cares? It's stupid pouches. They add a three-dimensionality to the character. It's almost like he was designed as a comic book character. Because look at this. Like, why is he like that? Why does he have 42 pouches in front? Also, it can't be very convenient to be reaching around. You know what? I'm going to stop my nerd rambling. I'm going to stop myself right there. I hear what I'm saying, and this isn't a good mental exercise. What What color is his? Let's open up the old Google here. Boba Fett. Boba Get. Boba Fett. I just want the color of his glove. Oh, back to this, huh? Alright, what color is your glove? It's kind of a reddish, gross brown. Yeah, his armor is all dinked up. We didn't really do that. Whatever. That kid's weird looking. He's creepy. Looks like a serial killer, future serial killer. Just call it kind of a red. Did I just fill the gun too? Oh, you idiot. Why am I so stupid? Well, we'll just do this by hand then. Oh, look at all those pixels I missed. How is that possible? I wonder, did I flat this? I don't even know. I mean, I'm an idiot, but I'm usually not bad at flatting. Usually. It's kind of too much. I'm a bit anal retentive when it comes to flatting. That looks so terrible. Just really bad. Let's use one of these stroke brush textures. Let's see what this. Let's get kind of lighter orange here. You know what? I know this is watercolor and all, but let's just go to our basic. When you see me go to this set, this is like, if I could just use, this is one pencil, a couple inking tools, and then like just good old fashioned, old school round brushes. And I think that in the case of his hands, and we'll put some texture on top of it, that it just needs a little of this, you know? Just a little. Be surprised what like a round brush and 90 opacity is capable of producing. You could do anything and everything with this brush. The red needs to go kind of light. Okay, go back to our watercolor nonsense. Now, we need to go super blue and super gray. So that's not what we want. We'll go right on top of this. I think I'm going to have to do it, guys. I'm going to have to break out the old lasso tool. Ooh, let's see if I can do it. Don't do it, dog. Don't cry. close here. Oh, I was so close. There's that bit down there that wasn't inside the thing. I think I got it. Right? Am I right? This is not the brush to be doing this with, but I'm just using a good old-fashioned round brush that has a huge size jitter. Like huge. It's cranked. The size jitter is on 11 for sure. Let's just get some of this watercolor effect in here. Throw a layer on top. And we got a gun barrel. Back to this. I don't even know if you're going to be able to read any of that. Yeah, I guess with those highlights you can tell that it's a hand. Alright, I'm going to finish off Boba and then do the ship real quick, and then I'm going to take a break. So, I feel like down the center of this thing will be pretty dark, and then the edges are going to be pretty light. Like this. No, like that. And we want to add just a touch of yellow. Touch. 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 Okay. We'll add some color holds there. Wash out the big black on the barrel. There's just too much black in this gun for the lighting that I'm doing. It'd be better if it was like an overcast. I'm not doing like super sun, but there's clearly a sun over here somewhere. Alright, is that him? Is that all of him? I think it is. His hand. Just like his little flag thing. We'll do that at the end. I'm going to color hold that whole thing probably. Okay, the ship. We're going to do this all in one piece. We might lasso a little bit here. Just a little. Okay. So I feel like the ship is like a yellow gray. Something like this. Kind of a poopy color. All right, let's get like a shape to it first. So let me think. What is this? Is that a gleam? Is it a gleam of light from the sun? Or is that... Was that like an explosion? Wouldn't it make more sense if the explosion was there? I don't know what the hell that is. That's like the center of the cockpit. There's no gun there. And Chewie's head fell off, so where does that leave us, guys? I don't know. I'm going to call it a gleam from the sun. And I'm going to say that maybe this is a little bit more green. Towards green. And that. I make these things like super dark. I don't even know if that's right. Who cares? Get a soft eraser here. Just kinda... Ah! It's not what we wanted. Alright, the rest of his ship is this color? This color. I don't know. I would look, but there's like some green in it somewhere too. This. Now, if I wasn't using the world's largest brush, this would probably go better. I know this isn't the right color red, but I like how this looks. And isn't there green in his ship somewhere? Like a weird... Or is the ship supposed to be green, maybe? It's like green, but it's rusted. If we like this. It kind of works for me. Kind of. And then something like this. Maybe. Where's that watercolor G pen? Work your magic. This. What if on top of everything. Kept this super light color, and I got out my punk rock poster brush and I set it to screen mode. I set the opacity all the way up and kept the brush density down. And used a brush slightly smaller. And then, oh, even better. No, that's too much. There we go. Eh? What do you think? Where else are we doing holds? In here? I think here we probably should go with the old-fashioned airbrush. I tried. Texture in your color holds doesn't look good. Oh, you got here. Soft airbrush. Opacity. Where? Oh. Yeah, that's better. Disappear the side with the hard light. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I'm on board with these color holds, but we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out. Normally I would never airbrush color holds. It just seems like that little bit of gradient is, when zoomed in it looks stupid as hell, but when you zoom out it's got kind of a realistic look to it. Not photorealistic, but just, it adds something, I think. Alright. I see that one last piece that I forgot, which always happens. So I'm going to take a break. You're not going to know. Then I'll start recording and do the background. It just needs to be like a gray color, I think. Just a boring gray hose. I don't think we got the There we go. Easy peasy. I'll Google up, try and find like a model image of Boba Fett so we can make sure his colors are right. Anyways, be back in a minute. Alright, I'm back. I'm energized. It's time to fill in this background. And then we'll clean up all the line art and add some more holds if we need to. But first thing I'm going to do is put some type of, watercolor wash type thing here. The brushes I'm going to use here are going to be the watercolor with blur for cloud elements. And then I'm going to use the watercolor on Bristol brush. Let me show you what that looks like. When you have watercolor on Bristol, it kind of does this thing when it dries where it cakes. So you get these kind of little transparent areas and then these pops kind of like this. There's also this one, which is the similar kind of thing, only dirtier. There's texture in here that needs to be turned down. But anyways, I'm going to use those two brushes, and then I'm going to use the either Mr. Normal, which is just kind of your normal looking watercolor, and then this. Probably use this. Yeah, we're going to use this. I like this brush. Okay, so what do we want in the sky? I know that we want the sky to be a bluish gray. We want kind of these colors. And we're going to do a lot of layers here. So don't be concerned. Add a bit more blue. This is going to be more like painting. And then, let's say we're not at like high noon. Get some of these. A little bit of pink. Orange. This cloud is theoretically going to be closer, so I have the lighter values further back. Kind of think of the sky here. Get a different layer here. So this sky isn't flat. What we're really looking at, because we're looking up, is that the sky that we see up here is going to be closer than the sky that's down here. So it's really gonna be like an arch where this. So we're gonna have, it's going to be a little bit darker up here, which is good because it's going to set off this white thing, and then it'll be lighter down here. At least that's what I'm thinking right now. We'll see how that turns out. Maybe it's kind of overcast and stormy in here, and it's becoming a nicer day out over here. Probably get rid of that. All right. Just looking for the right way to blend this stuff. Take out some of these edges. Then we can paint right back over it if we want. I'll leave kind of some of those lines, those fractal things. So I'm going to grab the clouds here. And I can tell you right now that all that line art is going to have to go. So just get some kind of shape. We'll have the darker stuff be in there. So we don't want to do that necessarily. Later. Just brushing a little bit and blending a little bit. Nothing complicated at all. Alright, now we need to... Let's take this line art out first. We're going to zoom. I'm just selecting colors around to try and wash this out into one area. And now I'm going to use the lasso tool. And I'm flipping back and forth between the color holds and the Those are kind of weird looking clouds. Whatever. And we'll clean all this up, and at the end, we'll just go freehand over the top of the whole thing. Be the easiest way to make it look right. Looks like I hit his. What is this? Something like that. I'm just using this blur brush for everything right now. And then we will clean it up, don't worry. Okay. How's that? Kind of weird and wild. Just using a builder brush here, just a little background watercolor texture brush. I don't want the sky to be kind of more ominous. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Oh, that actually kind of look good. Nice. There we go. That looks pretty cool. A little weird, but that's good, right? I think what we can do on this, the border on the outside, is take something that's kind of like a splatter brush or something. First, let's color it like darker, maybe. No, no, no. That would be okay if it were a different color. Fine. That darker. Something like that. What if I did that same color inside the holds all the way around? That might look kind of neat too. Like it was sprayed over top. No, no, no. I like them better kind of popping out. Is there another color that we could add in there? Whoops. That's not what I wanted. Nope. Oh, yeah, right here. Cool. All right. Now we start finishing this thing off. I'm going to get my regular old airbrush out because for whatever reason that is what makes what is making the holds look okay. So we're just gonna just the areas where there's hard light, just give them a little bit of just a little. Oops. Really want to chop out those holds, but is that too much? Yeah, let's just do like there, there. That will be enough. Oh, we forgot the rocket thing. What color should this be? Maybe just red to stand out against that blue. Red to orange, maybe dark red to orange. Whoops. Keep forgetting. Good old multiply. holds. Couple black pixels in there is no big deal. Now, got a screen layer. Airbrush. I'm just darkening some areas and lightening others. Just adding tiny little glows to finish this thing off. Let's bring this density down a whole bunch. There we go. Alright, the shiny parts are shiny, the matte parts are matte. This guy's kind of neat. How's that look? Acceptable? It's okay. Maybe I should sign this thing. Maybe. Maybe. Sign it 5 times bigger than everybody else. Ah. It's still kind of thick and braggy. Alright, so those are my watercolor brushes. There's a bunch of them we didn't use because they weren't appropriate, but hopefully this was a decent demonstration for what they can do. The link is below on my Gumroad page. So again, for $5 you get all 50 of these brushes. You get the watercolor set, the special set, the concept brushes, which we probably could have used for the background. These are super good. Super good. This one's got blend on it. See? This is a cool concept brush. This is good for, like, if you want to block in backgrounds, mountains or whatever, and you're just trying to get an idea. So you do this, and then you go a little bit lighter. Pick your green on the bottom. And then you can blend with the brush and make shapes and change lightness and whatnot, and put in something really rough that you can draw over, do line art over, or what have you. Or use it as a silhouetting brush, since it's got all that texture in it, to make interesting shapes for character design or whatever. But don't limit yourself to just a regular old round blue or red or whatever color you're using to design stuff. I like to use different things, and that was one of the brushes I came up with. I really like it. I don't like it so much as a coloring brush, but more like a concept brush. That's why I made a separate set for it. The wet set, which we didn't use for this because there's too much hatching. If it was super open line art, maybe we could have made the background wet, but I like what we did back there. I think it's kind of cool. Weird. Bizarre. And then all of the different blenders. I didn't get to this is one of my favorite brushes that I use all the time with regular comic book coloring. We didn't get to that, but it's a brush, but I use it as a blender. It's like this weird, cloudy brush that brings things together and mixes ground color. And the brush engine in Manga Studio is so cool. So, if you have any questions about what I've done, I'll probably post this thing. Maybe I'll futz with it a little bit and post it to my DeviantArt page, which is linked below if you want to download it. I'll just put the full, 17-inch thing up there, so you can, print one out if you want, or I don't know. So, thanks for watching, guys, and I will be back with lots more brushes, tutorials. So if you have questions about comic book making, digital art, digital painting, whatever, feel free to send me a tweet or leave a question in the comment below, and I'd be happy to help you out. Okay? Take care, guys.